Before we get started, I have two polls. I'm going to put the polls up now. First, feel free to say hello in the chat. Where are you joining from? What are your citizen science plans coming up? I'm letting some folks in, and let me start these polls.
Where do we answer in chat?
Sorry, it's still loading. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like taking a minute. Okay, here we go. Poll 1. There's two polls here. The first one is, have you started planning for Citizen Science Month 2026, 2.5 million acts of science? And then poll number 2, have you started planning America250 programming? And thank you to those that have completed the survey. I'll put the survey link in the chat. We are collecting information on what you are planning, what resources you might need, how we can support you. I know many of you have already completed that survey, so thank you very much. Hi, Rebecca. It's great to see you. Love seeing familiar faces. How many of you are here are ambassadors? Put up a little heart or emoji. I know who you are, but it'd be good for others to see as well. All right. So this webinar is presented by SciStarter. As many of you know, it's a globally acclaimed website, citizen science hub, supporting people and connecting them to find real science projects to participate in scientific research that's local in their communities, global. And we've been supporting 2 initiatives. And first, let me introduce who's on the call today. We have Darlene Cavalier, founder and CEO of SciStarter, and Emma Giles, Director of Operations and Programs. Was that right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And this webinar is actually sort of a convergence of 3 big initiatives, actually 4, because I don't have America250 on there, which Darlene's going to talk to you about in just a moment. But these are the programs that we've been supporting and many of you are involved in. The Ambassador Program, which supports individuals that are interested in supporting their communities in citizen and community science. It equips them. If you haven't taken the Ambassador training, we encourage you to do so. It really helps you understand how you can become a champion in your community. We have the Citizen and Community Science Library Network, Citizen Science at Your Library program, which supports libraries globally across the country to become community hubs of citizen science. We just launched a new training for that. I'm going to put all these links in the chat and I will send them in the follow-up email as well. And to all of those that are watching the recording, you should also get a follow-up email with all of these links. And then every April, we host Citizen Science Month. And last year, we achieved over 3 million acts of science. And this year, we're going for 2.5 million acts. And Darlene's going to tell you why we are going for 2.5 million. But just in general, all of these programs are designed to empower you, your organizations, and your communities to participate in these important science efforts and projects. And here at SciStarter, we are here to do whatever we need to help you. And part of that is by listening and learning from you. So we're really happy to have you all here today. And today, you know, this is a kickoff planning. It is, like I said, it's June, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about what we're planning and what we're thinking, but also we really want to hear from you today. That's a main goal and objective of this webinar so that we can shape our goals and strategies for the next year with you all on board, our most cherished partners. Okay, so I'm going to just stop my screen now. And I'm going to pass it to Darlene. Or Darlene, did you want me to share, or are you going to share the screen?
You want to share first, let me share something. Hold on a second. And I'm just having a sidebar conversation with Kathy. I was one of those students in school where Kathy and I are passing notes behind.
Oh, love it.
So Kathy, if you email us, Emma, she'll loop Tara and I into a call and we can help brainstorm some ideas. I think that's so exciting. Kathy's planning a community garden at her library, I think.
Great.
And then we have some ideas to turn that into like a lab. That would be fun.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, and
That's
also,
perfect. And there's a lot of libraries doing similar things. We can absolutely connect you with them as well, to share what they're learning. But yes, go ahead. Take it away,
yes,
darling.
and
Let me
actually
know
that's
what
a note
links you
for
want me to
Jim
drop.
Webster too, who lives closer to me in on between Philadelphia and Long Beach Island, New Jersey. And Jim, thank you for all the programs you've done there in the Jersey coast. And we're looking at Long Beach Island where there's a big open nature area and turning that into a living lab and making it very easy for people to use QR codes and other cues to do citizen science while they're strolling around. And so maybe we'll have a separate webinar about that. So do I want to share my screen? Sure. Maybe I'll share my screen here. Share. Okay. So this, which you all should be able to see, is one of the large initiatives that's part of America 250. For those of you who don't know, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence takes place next year, 2026. So country's getting ready to celebrate in many, many, many different ways. America 250 is like the sanctioned nonprofit that is running that program with a lot of different state delegates. You might already be involved in some. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this. Okay, you might already be involved in some at a regional level or state or more. One of the co-chairs of an advisory task force at America 250, not surprisingly, for innovation, science, and entrepreneurism. And I'm really excited about how science and citizen science, community science, participatory sciences is being tied to America Gives. So like I mentioned, it's one of their large initiatives, one of the largest initiatives, and they're billing this as the largest volunteer effort in America's history. That's mainly because they're very smart, not trying to create their own volunteer program. They've really identified volunteer organizations to partner with. And that's how they see citizen science, which like I said, I think it's a really smart approach. So like us, they're looking for people to count me in, count my organization in. For those of you who were involved in 1 million acts of science during Citizen Science Month, this approach might look familiar to you when it came to signing up to get involved. We have these same forms pretty much, or reporting your acts. Report me as an individual, report my acts as an individual, report my acts as an organization. You can learn more about this. Emma, maybe you can put that link to America Gives in chat here. You can learn more about America 250 and America Gives. America Innovates is another thing you'll see rolling out in a lot of museums, different exhibits about innovation that has happened here in America. And let's see if I can move this. 50,000 volunteer opportunities nationwide, at least. Thousands of them are coming from SciStarter. And I'll show you how that will work. Find volunteer opportunities. So they're like the umbrella of all volunteer opportunities for one short year. And founding partners, somewhere we're on this. There we are. So we're listed as a founding partner, which again, I'm really excited about because they see us as their avenue to have people volunteer in science for science and nature, because we're the umbrella to so many citizen science projects. So somewhere there is a link that says find ways to get involved. I'm going to click on that. And if you were to click on, I want to say civic engagement and outdoors in nature. And I don't remember where I saw it. I thought it was civic in nature. Sorry. I just saw it, but I don't know. Oh, okay. They have us outdoors and nature. And I thought civic engagement. I am pushing them to have just a science one to get people used to the idea that they can volunteer for science. Anyway, we're here. We're one of their volunteer opportunities. So I'm going to stop sharing. If I can find that link. Where do I find
At
that?
the bottom, go to the very bottom of your webinar. It's like, it should be
Okay.
red.
What happened is you guys are missing from my webinar. There we are. Okay. Share. No.
All right, let me see if I can, I'll
Okay.
replace it and then I will unshare.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, can you, okay,
Thank
good.
you. Okay. So that was my terrible way of just giving some framing for America 250, America Gives, SciStarter's role in that. And what I didn't mention is that as America Gives, part of America 250, they're actually sharing all of this out with each one of their state delegates. So they have this, they're pushing it out to their states, they're socializing this whole idea with the states. And as we lead up to April, they will focus in part some of their volunteer recruitment and promotional efforts on Citizen Science Month. So 250 is why we're setting a goal for 2.5 million acts of science. You might recall that this past April, we set the goal of 1 million acts of science. We hit 3 million acts of science. So we feel pretty confident we're going to hit 2.5 million acts of science. And it's very fortunate for us that we have the promotional backing of America 250 to help make that happen. So that got us thinking. The whole world has kind of flipped upside down with best laid plans. But at some point, libraries were going to, and museums play a very important role in America 250 celebration. And just, funding got cut, other different reasons. So at this point, it's just, if you're already planning events or programs for America 250, we thought this is a neat way to feed two birds with one stone in April by combining those efforts of turning that celebration into opportunities for people to act citizen science. So we started, Tara and Emma and I started digging through the America 250 site to see what kind of resources they offer already. And we started thinking about what went well, what worked really well, based in large part on your feedback from the past several citizen science months, and started combining those into, you know what, we can actually now, before the end of June, start planning for April 2026 and the 2.5 million acts of science. But we wanted this to happen with your input. That's why we're here for this call. And I'm hoping maybe, Tara, if you can walk us through not just the 250 library resources page, but also how people would find that. So when we're done with this call, that everybody can relook at it again, because we're going to really want your feedback on it. You might be able to give some real time now during this call, but we'd also ask you to just think about it and provide feedback later too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm ready to go with that. So this website, okay, so let me take you to the library page here, which is the main library page that you would get to at the top of SciStarter. If you go to scistarter.org, you click libraries, it'll take you to this homepage. And right at the top, we have guidance to get to our America 250 and 2.5 million acts of science page. So if you click here, here is our non-static page that's going to be updated throughout the, till April with resources. Does someone put it in the, okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Thank you. So this page is designed to both help you understand, if you're not involved in America 250, what that is and how you can get involved. If you're not involved in Citizen Science Month, what that is and how you can get involved, because the two are really coming together. I put a link in the chat for a survey to let us know what you're doing for Citizen Science Month, but it's also here on the page if you can go to that and let us know. And then we've just been thinking a lot about what is the alignment between America 250 and 2.5 million acts of science during Citizen Science Month, and Darlene mentioned some of them, but there's even more alignment. One of the areas that we've been exploring and that we'll be developing resources for is thinking about how citizen science is part of America's history from early from indigenous scientists to our founding fathers, Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. There's deep history of people collecting and sharing scientific and natural findings and data, whether with their communities. And so that's one angle that we will be looking at developing some programming resources so that you can tell that story. America250's goal is to tell the full American story, also thinking about your own local stories and what are people interested in as we celebrate this 250th anniversary, and what is their vision for America moving forward. And we think that citizen science programming and resources is another really great way to support people to think about what their vision is for the future, because it promotes real civic engagement, real action in scientific research, collecting and people-powered science, like, right, collective impact. And so that's another place that we see alignment is using the fall. And let me go down the page a little bit more. This is our sort of like toolkit area, which this is really where what's gonna evolve as we develop more resources. But we're imagining that the next how many months until 10 months? No. Yeah. 9, 11? No. 8 months? Something. I don't know. 10 months. 10 months. In the next 10 months, we've sort of envisioned 3 phases of getting prepared for 2.5 million acts of science and America 250, using the fall to really build excitement and awareness around citizen science and connecting it to local values and histories. There's some great resources that we found that really celebrate the 250th. One is on our 250th.org, which again is about gathering local stories and hopes and dreams for the future. The other is My Wish for the US. So these are already tools that exist that can be used to put a lens on citizen science and community science efforts. The American Library Association has great resources for holding listening sessions with your community. We have surveys that help you better understand what your local priorities are, and how you can tie those to the projects on SciStarter and other projects. We hope that you'll use this fall to really gather that information. What do people care about most in your communities? How are we going to help? Like I said, we're going to be continuing to create materials. We already have lots of materials. We'll be updating those for 2.5 million acts. We're going to be hosting some monthly planning calls and additional webinars to get you prepared for Citizen Science Month. And as always, we're here to help you promote your activities. If you post them on the SciStarter events page, we also have the ambassador network that is ready to help. We envision in the winter, as you start to really get prepared and plan the programming, that you are helping patrons and your library users complete the foundations profile, the ambassador trainings, choose projects that align with your A250 priorities, with your community priorities. We're going to have free toolkits and things. Like I said, this page is fresh. It's newly launched. We launched it just last week. So it'll continue to be updated. How are we going to help? Again, we're going to be hosting meetings and webinars to get librarians together to talk about what they're doing and developing resources. And then it's April. So our big celebration is 2.5 million acts of science in the month of April. But obviously the A250 celebration goes all the way till July, which is the actual semi-quincentennial. Woo. I've been practicing that, darling. So we hope that you celebrate in April, do something big for citizen science, and then use that the next few months to celebrate those contributions and what your local community was able to achieve. So these are just some ideas. Like I said, we are evolving in our thinking, and we want to hear from you in just a minute about what your plans are or what you feel like is a good approach. But then we've also curated some other resources at the bottom of this page from other organizations that have open resources. So every state, as Darlene said, is doing A250 in a little bit different way. There's grants that lots of states have that you can apply to host events. And every state has like a slightly different focus on how they're celebrating A250. So, check that out. There's great digital resources. The Ken Burn documentary is coming out soon about the American Revolution. The innovation piece that Darlene mentioned, and I'm at a conference right now, and they have a big focus on invention education, which is interesting. It's sort of a new not new, but it's a different way of thinking about science education. So I think that aligns really well with the invention and the innovation of our country. And there's a lot of invention involved in citizen science. So yeah, this is just like I said, we freshly launched. We're going to be updating this. We just put out a survey. We had 25 respondents in the last 2 days, and almost nobody has started planning, which is actually great for us because this gives us an opportunity to really shape how we're and help you plan. But I'm gonna just stop sharing the screen for a moment and ask if anybody here is planning already or has some ideas of what they might be doing, both for Citizen Science Month or America 250. And we open it up for you all to share. Unless, Darlene, do you have anything else you wanted to say? All right. Yeah, would anyone like to share their plans? And feel free to also unmute or put it in the chat.
Yeah, this is Jim. April's pretty easy for me because there's a lot of events going on around that time. One, the Northeast Astronomy Forum and Space Expo. And we highlighted SciStarter there and did a presentation on it, for the public that attended. And I'm planning on doing the same thing unless, something changes over the months. So that will be the biggest one. And that event has several thousand people going to it.
And what could we do, Jim? I know we're springing the America 250 on people. That's why we're doing this so early, to think about how we might tie that to America 250. Some ideas, for example, this is where I think we could start to share ideas and put them in our Facebook group or put them on the website. For example, on that page Tara was showing, Ken Burns will have an American Revolution biopic. What do you call this? Like a
Right.
Document. I
Well,
think it's a documentary.
documentary. Thank you.
I was like, but I don't know if he's
Yes.
starring in it.
And he did one a couple of years ago about Ben Franklin. And so that gave us a kind of a head start. Somewhere we have an old web page where we aligned projects that our founding fathers, founding mothers were doing before science became so specialized. And those projects, while they're not, they weren't signing up for Cocoa Raz, they weren't signing up to download an app, obviously. But Jefferson in particular got a long history of documenting biodiversity in nature and weather. Certainly Franklin, half of his work couldn't have been done without the help of other volunteers giving him data. So we have kind of a head start on how to directly tie kind of the founding fathers, whatever we want to call this, to projects that people can do. And I would imagine that's kind of interest, maybe more for libraries, because you can do story time around it. You can just tell that history. There's so many different activities that already exist with that. And then you're actually having people do projects that need data today because the world changes all the time. And it's a good reminder, like science is never, ever, ever finished. We always need this information because the world keeps changing for a variety of reasons. For yours, Jim, I'm wondering if there are, even some of that kind of stargazing components of what was happening back 250 years ago that you might be able to draw. It's more the storytelling part of it that we're looking for help with. And you all really have done such an amazing job. I've seen some of what you've done for Citizen Science Month, what you have going on. That storytelling part of it is going to be unique to each library, but anything that we can help develop that will help you would be useful for us to know too.
Something else that came. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
You're mentioning it that way. The stargazing and the light pollution access aspect of it in a story time would also probably work at these light pollution exhibits that we got popping up now in New Jersey. And I'm actually visualizing a poster board in my head right now with Ben Franklin with the key and the kite, SciStarter, and finding projects with SciStarter and American250. And that could even be a poster board at NEAF next year.
Love that. We'll add that. Something else that came to mind, Darlene, when you were talking, and something that Emma did this year for Citizen Science Month in collaboration with a SciStarter ambassador and a veteran, was a bio blitz at a battlefield. So I just making me think about also taking, it doesn't have to be a bio blitz, there's lots of other things that you can do, but taking the citizen science to historical locations and doing something on site at historical locations, especially for those in the Northeast that have, you know, as a Jersey girl, we are very proud of our Revolutionary War sites, but I think that that's another angle.
Yeah. Yes, I do too. I think that there will be no shortage of bio blitzes, as we know. It's like the default, and that's wonderful. It just does happen to be that I think that so many projects really, really, really need volunteers that are not nature-based or part of something that could benefit from a bio blitz. So our job, I think, is to help you think or learn from others who are doing other things, weather tracking, getting a bunch of re-engages out there. There's probably new projects that I'm not even aware of. I'm sure that there are, that even online for your community, to get online together at a library and do projects together there, health and medical projects. We can easily make that connection to Ben Franklin. By the way, little fun fact. This came up. I was having an EKG, just regular routine stuff. And it dawned on me that Mary Shelley, maybe some of you know this already, the author of Frankenstein. What I did not know until Emma, some of our work with our colleagues at Arizona State University who really dig into historical context and content, it turns out that it's very, very likely she named this Frankenstein after Ben Franklin, not because of his work with electricity here in Philadelphia, but because of what was found in his historic home in, I want to say England. I don't even think it was France. I think it was England, where they found possible evidence of skeletons and some indication that he may
Trying to bring them back to life.
with bringing them back to life with electricity. And she and he were peers. And so Frankenstein written that way. So my point in saying that is that there's not a topic or a project that we can't figure out a way to connect back to Jefferson or Franklin or somebody. Betsy Ross, let's give some shout out for the women that were around. That's the other nice thing, by the way, if we don't want to do that direct connection because it's just too linear, or it's just not something that you're that interested in, or your community is not interested in that. That's where the America250 helpful resources come in. You'll see some really neat activities that they have and that we've seen explained to museums, where it wouldn't be backwards looking, it's forwards looking to say, what kind of future do you want? And they actually have some activities where you can help draw that out from people. What's important to you in the future? You wouldn't even use the word science, you wouldn't use citizen science, anything like that. You would just try to get at, what are you interested in? And then we can help you find ways to make sense of that. I don't know if it's Chat GPT or something, but these are things I think we can work on together of like, hey, all these words coming in, it turns out we're seeing patterns. People are interested in, safe places for all pets. Maybe that's what you see turning up. World peace, a protected planet, whatever, a cure for Alzheimer's, whatever it is coming up. This is where I think the SciStarter team can really help you, show us what you're seeing emerge and let us help you know about, like, hey, here's a direct connection that can be done in the library. This is the Alzheimer's project. Stall catchers. If you see people in your community that are really worried about human and medical health advances, cancer, whatever it might be, there is a project that we can help you. So that way, your story is, this is what you told me was important. This is how we're going to address it. You're going to help build the future together, one act at a time. Every involvement that they have in a citizen science project is that act towards building that future together. So those types of materials and resources are available for you on the link on that 250 page. And I see that Tara just put it here in chat too. So
Yes, those were those two specific resources about mapping, gathering, information stories for the future, which are great. I'm curious if others have plans or if this brings up thoughts or ideas, or if you have any questions for us.
I just started looking at this. I'm trying to see how I can tie, these space projects into all this.
Well, and it doesn't have to be about, I mean, even though we're celebrating the 250th anniversary, it does not have to be about Revolutionary War history. It can be about space
Right.
NASA, right? It could be about NASA. Um, that's an American enterprise, and so it could be telling that story. And um, there's obviously lots of NASA projects that we promote. So
Yeah.
Robin, do you
It's
have any? Oh, go ahead, Robin. Do you have
it's
any
interesting
ideas?
you were
Oh,
talking about Ben Franklin, but
I
an
that's
unknown
probably because Darlene and
story,
I live in Philadelphia, and
right?
people don't care about him as much as we do.
An interesting person to think about too. Is Hedy Lamarr.
Right. And so it's about that's the whole point, is telling the whole American story. Obviously in Philly it's going to be huge. Also the World Cup is going to be there July 4th. It's going to be one of the most spectacular days in Philly. But across the country, obviously, the Revolutionary War could, Robinson,
Right.
Washington State. So you don't have any Revolutionary War memorial or monuments or whatever there. So what do you think you would do?
Well, you bring up a good point. Seattle is going to have several World Cup games going on. So if there's anybody thinks of a connection, and I'll keep that in mind too, with that. I mean, it's even coming over to my side of this Puget Sound. My area, and we're trying really hard to get our libraries involved. But I have a champion in the Audubon Society. So I think if I could do something, we are very concerned about our natural surroundings because Seattle's moving over to our side of the Puget Sound. And so we just want to make sure people are aware of why natural spaces are important and to keep that balance. So we have been doing biodiversity, bioblitzes the last few years, but we would, and I've got other nature-based groups that are willing to help. So I would like to come up maybe with something other than a bioblitz. And we're actually going to work on some things this summer, the other group I'm in, like marine debris collection, that app. Also, we have a situation where air casting, and I do have one of the monitors, so is happening with some surrounding farmland. So those are things that we're kind of looking into, but yeah, if Emma, you're always dealing with different projects. If these ideas kind of spur a project, I would love, your feedback on that.
I'm also thinking about, and you might want to lower your volume. Yeah, sorry. Tara and I are in the same room. It's a problem. In any
Yeah.
case, a lot of this has made me think of, if we're having trouble like finding connections to, there's a lot of citizen science coming through that's more on the social science spectrum. So if you want to talk through more of the historical data that's out there that we're trying to bring back up, like there's a big push right now with the National Archives, even where for America250 they have a big transcription project happening, and they're bringing out documents that are from way back in the day out for display in the National Archives. And so if you're having trouble with like the stretch of connections too, there's always ways where you can really focus on the historical documents we're trying to digitize. But yeah, as new projects start coming into, we'll start promoting them on a monthly, or in our newsletters too. We'll do a shout out for those new projects, and also in our calendars. Unfortunately, none of the exact names are coming to mind right now, but there have been plenty.
yeah, I can't remember it either. I can't remember it either, but that example
Either.
that Emma was going with.
Oh, we'll definitely add.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, darling, what did you say?
That's okay. The example that Emma was leaning into is, if you're not familiar with it already, the National Archives, they have a bunch of online transcription projects. So I forget them, it's like only 8% of all the materials that should be digitized have been, something like that. Federal documents. The National Archives actually needs some of those that have been digitized, transcribed. And so this one that Emma just put in chat is a great example of, if you want to get a lot of people into a library or somewhere, set up that computer lab, describe the history. This is a fantastic project. There's no guarantee it's still going to be in need of transcriptions, but basically you look at handwritten files that are the war records, the pension files. Back then, in order to get your pension, you went through an interview to prove that you served. There was no digitized way of doing this. So the question and answer in the interviews actually tell a lot of the history of what was happening there. You'll see stories from people that say things like, you got to believe me. I was here. General so-and-so, he was with us that day. It was raining. 10 people died over here. So all this history is emerging in these interviews. And so that's one really cool project, because you might be the only one looking at that and telling this, transcribing from handwriting into text what happens. And it's also, it was featured on CNN as a weird twist, which wasn't 100% accurate, but that was, Americans are losing their ability to recognize handwriting. I'm sure that
Oh,
part.
I saw that. I saw that.
That was this project. So they build it as sharpening your skills and transcribing. Can you read cursive? Good. We need your help transcribing this. But it really isn't about cursive and handwriting. It's really about helping to document these, preserving and making these digitally available for other researchers who want to know what the heck was happening around those times. Yeah.
That's a great connection. Yeah, it's making me realize what's missing on this page right now, which we've started on a different page, so we'll have to move it, but is a project, our project connections, like to build out how, which projects, or like already start to make some connections for people, although we could probably make a connection to any project for you. So if you're interested in a project, we can make it.
And I think those projects will end up on the main Citizen Science Month page, where we'll really help push people towards them. But for this whole team that showed up here, one, we definitely want to hear from you. And it's okay if you're not planning anything, but as things are running through your head, even if it's just still like, I don't really understand the page, I don't understand the concept, I'm still confused about Citizen Science Month, we would really appreciate hearing as much as possible from you, because you're going to help. If you're thinking it, many other people are. There's 1,200 libraries involved in the library network. You had the courage to show up here without really knowing much about what the heck we were trying to do. You don't have ideas to share necessarily right now, but we could really use your input. You're brave. You showed up. Whatever you're thinking, you can pretty much be sure that you're representing a lot of those other library networks that are out there. Before we move forward and create all these pages and resources, we'll make sure that they work for you too. Maybe Rebecca, Kelly, Vicky, anybody, Tamara, Emily, anybody.
Well, I'll jump in. I've been doing a sustainability fair with our city's sustainability department that has grown basically outside of the library at this point. It was something that I started, and that happily the department has taken over, because now they're including all of the departments in the city that have anything to do with sustainability. So I know we'll do the outreach fair again, but I'm thinking, the times I've been most successful is when I do find a way to tie it somehow to an existing city initiative. So that's a good way for people to look at the priorities your municipality or your county has, like, what are they trying to reduce? What are they trying to increase? So I'm going to go back and look at those, and probably circle back with you all on, okay, if we're looking at becoming a zero waste city, what are the activities that might support that and motivate people, give them a concrete way to track it. other than just saying we want to be a zero waste city. Like, what are the steps how are we measuring that? Some of the other goals are more specific to homeowners, like getting discounts to people to replace their gas water heater with a heat pump, electric water heater, or replacing lawns with native plants. So, in trying to find a project that is going to be interesting to a really large audience, range of ages, range of lived experience. That's probably what I'll come back to you all for. But I do think it would be something to bring to the table with the sustainability department as another engagement tool.
That all sounds really good. And my suggestion to all of you who are thinking, where do I start, is like, get some community members together and have a conversation about what is important. Vicky put in the chat, in Ohio, state government has developed 12-month themes for the celebration. So I really encourage you to go on that 250 state site and look up your state and how they're participating. I think that is a great way to connect it to local and statewide initiatives. Wonderful. Anyone else?
I was just
Oh, go
wondering
ahead.
how we might be able to document, maybe Rebecca, can you keep us posted on how things develop there? Because anything we can use as a model for others, that just might be, it's not as formal as a case study, but we want to start showing other people like that. That's really where the rubber starts hitting the road, is partly with what you're talking about doing. So it kind of takes the fear away from other people when they see like, well, it might be a Q&A. It might just be a blog Q&A.
I was going to suggest that, Darlene, or like we could even record Rebecca and talking about it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's a Q&A, we can embed links.
Yeah.
We just keep it kind of relatively
idea.
short and recording. So will you keep us posted on how that goes? And maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime in July, we circle back to you don't have to have any outcomes really, but we can just capture that.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. And if
Mhm.
Emma and Tara can just make a note that we'll circle back to Rebecca in July.
Yes. Well, that was just going to also remind me to tell you all that we're going to be hosting another version of this at the end of August, once we have developed some additional resources, once we hear a little bit more about what the gaps are, and also surface some real models and examples to share back with you all. Hopefully some libraries will be able to present what they're doing. So that is going to be, we're finalizing a date very soon. We'll be back with more information about that, so that'll really be the start of the planning for April and for your America 250 plans. So we may be back to some of you with like Rebecca, with asks to present what you're doing, so that other libraries in this network can learn from you all, because we really rely on you all to help us shape how this is going to take place.
Yes. Kelly, Vicky, Kathy, I'm just going across my names. Anybody else have questions? Or do you feel like you're so confused you don't even know what questions to ask? That's okay too. Should I pick on someone? All right. All right, at this stage then, what would be helpful? Tamara, maybe. What would be helpful for you? Tamara? Or am I on mute?
Anyone have anything? Feel free to put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Robin. And we can add that to, I think we should probably add that to the library training too, or somehow. Emma, do you want to describe how people learn about, how people can always look for new projects on SciStarter? And if you forgot, I can tell you how.
To find new projects on SciStarter?
Mhm.
Yeah, well, if you are using our project finder on the main page, if you look up a word, that's one thing. But if you actually go to the advanced search, the ones that show up at the earliest, so they show up first on the list, those ones will be the most recently updated or added. So I often just open up the advanced search just to see, oh, who has added a project recently to look through? Is there another trick I'm forgetting, darling?
No, no, because you can sort by, I think you could, I think you could sort in the advanced search too. Newest projects. I don't know if we still have that. It used to be
I
something we
don't
had.
think that's currently on there.
Okay.
But that's if that was there, we should look into making sure that's on there again. So
Yeah.
make a
yeah,
note.
here we go.
About
Let me double
creating
check.
projects.
Oh, yeah, you can actually. I don't know why, but you can sort newest to oldest. I don't know why you would want oldest, but for example,
Oh,
there's a
just
new one. Here, I can share. Can I share my screen real quick again?
Sure.
I won't take up too much time. And
And I'm answering Rebecca's question about other good projects that we like to use to introduce people to citizen science. Obviously, stall catchers and squirrel mapper.
yep. See
Map.
these up here? If you go to SciStarter and you click advanced search, just regular SciStarter.org, advanced search, you end up on this page. And this one you can do hyper focus searches. You name it, we've got an option for you there. Over here, and you would click this, by the way, I think this should be, Emma, can you ask Daniel to make that default always include events? Emma's so used to me, anytime we do a live demo, there's something to fix. But up here you can see newest to oldest. I don't recommend doing oldest. Newest are new projects that have been just, Jim, you probably like this one. Search for asteroids and around dead stars. That's more of an online project, I'm sure. Crowdsource, her book ends in July, but it just dawned on me with all of you on this call, you probably really like this one. This is looking for people to submit photos of women-owned books you have for a research project.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta send
yeah.
that out to I gotta post that on in
Yes.
the Facebook group.
Great idea. Okay, and then if you can undo my share so I'm not hogging the screen.
Are you still sharing? Oh, okay.
No. Thank you.
What about creating projects?
If you want to create a project, we can help with that too. And this question comes up a lot, Jim. So it depends on what you're trying to do. And then we always recommend a proper, hopefully free tool. If you have a ton of data, we would help you learn how to use the Zooniverse create your own project tool. If you don't have enough data, we might recommend something like iNaturalist, citsci.org, a platform called Anecdata. So it all depends on the structure of what you want, your project to do.
Well, for my case, collecting light pollution ordinances per state, per town, having all that data available to people.
Now, that to me, I would say, since Globe at Night has invested so heavily in their project and they have a lot of data, maybe it's you having a conversation with the Globe at Night people to say, how do we break this down? They have a map, but that might not be giving you what you need. So it might be talking to them. They themselves also work with different apps that we, I can't remember what they're called, Dark Sky and
Yeah,
something
the
else.
last I looked, they didn't have anything on ordinances.
They might not.
With my other hat, the dark sky stuff,
Mhm.
I'm getting a lot of ordinance inquiries now. And collecting that kind of data
Yeah.
would be beneficial.
The ordinance data or the actual light pollution data?
Oh, I would say both.
I feel like the light pollution data should come through Globe at Night.
Yeah.
But that they want people to be able to use those data to make decisions and act on things. So digging around a little bit to see how you might be able to download data within a certain area of their map, because they do have it by map, Might be
Okay.
the first step towards the ordinance part of it. How you track the ordinance thing, you know.
Maybe I can get the Illuminating Engineering Society involved in that.
Why not? You might like that paper that I just shared the link with too.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually link that into the Dark Sky New Jersey site.
Great. Yeah, because it's what's surprising is that the theory, now that research was done in Europe. The theory had always been that it's streetlights, but it turns out that's a very small percentage of what's causing the light pollution. It's like the aura from cities is doing a lot more damage than we thought. I personally was hoping they would say the reflective signs that are out there on every single block, on every single corner, everywhere, were causing a problem. But I emailed the author and said, how about the reflective signs? Aren't they a problem? And he said, not unless your headlights are shining on it. There's just,
Right.
they're more of a nuisance. So Jim, read that article and see if it's useful. That project leader who created the survey, they got a lot of people out there collecting not just light pollution data, but the sources of the light pollution data. They have a simple survey for that. Said that anybody can reuse that survey, although they won't be using the data from it. That's probably what you're looking for, because it's one thing to say there's a lot of light pollution. Somebody needs to ground truth and say, well, it's coming from here, here, here. And they also give good tips for mitigation. Light that's emitting up, people who installed those probably had no idea that the lights shine up as much as they shine down. And so simple covers on top of them that redirect the light down do the trick.
Mhm.
So anyway, see what you think about that. We'll be in touch with Rebecca to follow up on, see how things were going there. Sounds like Robin, you have some great tips for other tips that we can start framing on the Citizen Science Month website. We have that book project that's new. I'm glad we found that. Are there any other things, or do you all just want to take some time to absorb what was talked about today and maybe provide feedback either directly? We'll send a follow-up email with a link to this recording, as well as links that we mentioned in chat. That's and an email to reply back to. But we would really love to hear from you, because I think there's just such an amazing opportunity. And Tara mentioned July 4th in Philadelphia. For sure, that's going to be out of control, amazingly crazy. But I do think because we're in April, we're actually going to have a chance to cut through a lot of that noise and have our own attention on citizen science and America 250 in April before it gets just totally out of control in July. Emma, can you put a link for Kathy into chat for the book project that I mentioned, the woman-owned book that's looking for people to share pictures? It's a very first project that would show up on SciStarter.
Yes, I
Thank
think collectively doing something together in April is amazing, and then leveraging what else is happening, as it gets towards summer, and thinking about summer reading as well. We're talking to the folks there to try to support, and we have been over the last few years doing collaborating with the Collaborative Summer Learning Program to embed citizen science in summer reading themes and connect it. So we'll certainly be doing that as well. So looking ahead towards April, starting our planning in the fall, and then continuing that celebration through summer. And we hope you are along on this journey with us. We'll be in touch. As Darlene said, I'll send a follow-up email with all the links. And we hope to see you at the webinar in August, where we're going to really start to dig into what this could look like. Thank you so much.
you, everybody. Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Emma.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you so much. I'm always so motivated after I talk to you all.
Hey, we love you, Rebecca. Thanks for
Really.
coming. Thanks, Jim.
Bye. Talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Did we stop the recording?
I don't think so. I think it's
Okay,
still